Welcome back to Breaks on Books. We're an international talk show. We talk to people all over the world about their books, their publishing. Also, we have on publishers and editors and proofreaders on the show. If your book's not published yet, there's hope. There's people that can help you. And we're going to talk to a lot of authors who've made it, who got across the finish line and their books are published. So stay tuned. Our next guest is Julienne Ryan. She did it. She got her book published. Congratulations, Julienne. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, I didn't just publish it once. I decided after when COVID was dying to do it a second time.
Nice.
And then in case anybody had trouble reading, to do it in even bigger font so they could do their homework exercises in it. So we'll talk about what it is and afterwards. But I've been so thrilled that we get to talk again because you and I have talked a couple of times this year, which is wonderful. And I've been curious about how you've been because when I've last left you, I gave you some good sounding board points about stories and questions and conversations. Yes. So I'm curious about what's next. I know you're supposed to interview me, but I never follow the rules.
Well, I'll tell you how I am, but let me say the name of your book. It's called the Learned It in Queens Communication Playbook, Winning Against Digital. And it has some good tips for all of us about communication and families and dynamics and stuff like that. I was asking Julienne right before we came on the air that my families are going to be all thrown together for Christmas, even bigger than Thanksgiving. They're going to come from all kinds of regions of the country and from Europe, and they're all going to have their own idea on our American politics. And you'd written, it's fascinating if you go maybe to your website, you wrote this great article about the fork. Tell us about that.
Yes, I that was my post-Thanksgiving musings that I was giving. I had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I met with relatives I hadn't connected in a long time and was special. And it was what you want from Thanksgiving. Yeah. However, when my waistline expanded a little bit because I was very happy with the cooking, and I started playing with fork analogies. Yeah. And one of it was like when we talk about like sometimes we put our fork up too many times and then live to regret it. Yep. And also sometimes we need to stick a fork in something to kind of settle down the conversation, not pursue it. So, and then I was off and running literally on these fork analogies. But I think the purpose is to be thoughtful. Like you're already planning and thinking, oh, I have all these dynamics coming. None of us can be in charge of everybody else, but we can have opportunities to set up dynamics and maybe informal guiding points of everybody, just to pull them out and encourage them to find their better side, basically, and what the rules of engagement should be during the holidays. And so what are your thoughts? Like you went through Thanksgiving, you left me hanging, you never wrote to me after that.
Well, I tell you
it was like a thriller that end. You know, when you fall asleep watching the movie before there was DVR recordings, you'd like, this is great, and then what's happened? So what happened? What's your post-game analysis of what went right during Thanksgiving?
One thing I really noticed was, my dad says the most atrocious things. I catch myself rolling my eyes. And then I get a few words in edgewise, and my kids, the next generation down, they're rolling their eyes at me. So, it's all of us, I guess, need to kind of plan it out a little better.
Yeah.
But I think just talking to you before the show and right now, maybe what I need to do with my dad is, say, hey, Dad, let's stay away from this issue and that issue today because it's so volatile. There's such a range of beliefs at our dinner table for these holidays that maybe we should just come up with something that's fun, a good memory, and maybe share that or something like that.
It's not, you're right, because I think there is opportunities to learn from each other, but not every topic gets its fair due at the table. And I feel for anybody who's cooking and preparing meals and has really worked hard to pull a table together and make it warm and festive. But there is an opportunity because you just shared, you have all these generations coming together. And I think there's more to be learned right now from listening what informed their experiences and like you can find so many things to ask people about that you're not going to be able to ask when they're gone.
Ah,
Or they're not with us anymore. There's that history that we don't get to have a stenographer taking notes about us. So, what about somebody's first job that they had, or their favorite job, or when they learned to do something they never thought they could do, or nobody believed they could do, or something that I remember my brother was talking to when I visited him last year, and he talked about how he'd unbeknownst to my mother and myself and everybody, that you take these massive bicycle rides all over the borough of Queens and
yeah.
stopped off and had snacks. And I was like, to me, that was so amazing because we were brought up in such a strict family that I was like, you go. I didn't know you were rebelling. Why? I just thought you were driving around like the couple of blocks around our neighborhood. So those stories can really change a relationship and really have some fun with it,
And
or
all
find out things
generations,
you like.
yeah, all
Yeah.
generations can learn from that. Like, I didn't know that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you say
Things
it,
like
I inadvertently did that on Thanksgiving because my kids and I, and a little help from my dad, were working on our genealogy project. So
mm,
I just asked him a couple questions about the small town in Missouri he grew up in, and he just launched with this great tale. And everybody at the story really learned a lot about him and that they just didn't know. And maybe we could take some of the tension out of these holidays by us directing, kind of directing the conversations like that.
you can't listen when your ears are shut down and you're in a fear mode and you're waiting for someone to explode or cry or get angry. It just takes the energy away. But if you can show people, appreciate your experience, what informs the way you think about things. I was speaking to, I coach a lot, but to different people, different levels, different backgrounds. And one person was sharing their recent job change and how it's distressing and what they feel like they've lost. They're feeling disheartened, they're feeling rejected, they don't want to burden their family with their emotions. And I shared with him at that time, like I remember as a little girl, my father going on strike. He worked for the phone company, and going with him to the unemployment office downtown and standing with him online and observing all these people. And I was smart enough to know these people. It was, not a happy place, especially back then. It was just a line in paper. And that empathy, and if you can share with your kids or your story, like what informs your fears,
Mm.
your concerns. My mother grew up during wartime and overseas, and my father, I don't know if you had depression era parents, like why they keeping the multiple cans of food all the time in the house. Like that was the worst thing you could do, is not have a ready supply of something at
Wow.
hand. So demystifying some things and then also teaching them, like if you have bakers, if you like to cook, I remember being discovered recipes that my aunt had in a suitcase that she had never told us she had cooked. I didn't even know she baked. So little things are treasures, and sometimes it's a generation from each other separates, makes it a little easier to talk
Yeah.
and listen, especially about the personal things. But bring it to life. This is generation, they didn't know that you could actually put a key in the door
Yeah.
and open it in your car. You had to push it for, like, if it broke down someplace, like there wasn't automatic anything, to call for help.
So
So
demystifying, I like that. That'd be a fun thing to
yeah,
do on a
and just
holiday. And
appreciate,
yeah,
yeah, and appreciating their experiences too, like being curious what's going on. They're probably working on a lot of things that you're surprised about. So maybe there's questions you can assign people at the table, just like to pull a question
right.
and have some fun with that. I love in the holidays, whether it, they use it in England and Ireland, and I adapted as those crackers. They have a riddle in it. You pull it, it's a noisemaker, and
Ah,
it's a toy. Adults love that. And again, it's another icebreaker because
right.
you have a silly joke, a riddle, and then that keeps people out of trouble for a few minutes. But I think it's about building trust and appreciating something good about them too. And that's one thing you can charge people with, sharing and doing, and not attacking somebody
Not
as much as
attacking,
it
right.
hurt. Take it offline, have a quiet moment, talk to them someplace else. But just keep it in check.
I have
conflicts.
I have 3 slides up here with your name and words under them. I'm going to read each of those and see what you see if you want to comment on. The first one says Julienne B. Ryan, humorous, keynote speaker, storyteller, facilitator, and coach.
Yes.
And that's your business?
Yes, I'm busy. Everything feeds into each other. The stories are the method of how I engage, using humor to open up people's listening and build some trust. A lot of my, most of my workshops start with that. We start with a concept of saying we want to gather people around to have better conversations, build some rapport. And that's exactly what I was doing this year with many teams that I was invited to join. We use some simple things through a narrative methodology that I was trained in. And it brings people to a place where they can figure out what they have in common. And then once they can respect what they heard across them, then they can have a little more intense conversation about some challenging topics they wanted to work on at work, or if they're running an association, it opens up their listening. So facilitator and working with story. Nice. And then I hit the podium a few times, both on screens like this and in front of a mic. On the stage and in person. So that's been fun.
Our next slide calls you an author. Author of the Learned It in Queens Communication Playbook, Winning Against Digital. Now, it took me a couple of interviews to figure out. Queens is where you grew up in New York?
Yes. It wasn't just digital, it was distraction. And I think distraction is the key word. Yes, I grew up in Queens. I was born in Brooklyn. And the book was inspired when I had to write a speech and look at what was getting in our way of building trust, what was causing conflict at work, what was causing us to spend a lot of money on lawyers. And I realized nobody was really spending time listening. And I think at the core part of my work, what I teach in the group is I help them practice listening and paying attention. Just like if you had a tennis coach or a golf coach that tells you how to change your position and hold, the athletic equipment different, I create an environment that people can learn how to listen and respect and enjoy each other. Nice. And once you have a little bit of rapport, just like I will listen to you differently again the next time because you shared a little bit about your dad and your parents and the fact you came from Missouri. So immediately I'm thinking, oh, I did a conference in Missouri twice, I did one virtually. So already I'm like listening for more cues about tell me more. Nice. But what we're doing is always building trust and exercising these 2 things on the other side of our ears because we can tend to talk too much and not listen and give people a chance.
Well, my understanding is we can learn this on our own by getting this book, and it's not just a book, but there's a workbook and exercises in there?
Yes, because I know for me, because I am my own best text subject, that we can all listen to something or hear someone talk and go, that's great, wonderful. Doing our own work and getting out of our own way, that's a different story. So when I republished the book after COVID was starting to lift, I thought, let's make it funny. Because if you say homework, that's why people roll their eyes and just run screaming. But I make it engaging and kind of like getting on your case. Almost like if I was calling you up every day going, so what'd you do good today? And what'd you learn today? And what could you do better? So it's fun, and there's some trivia about Queens, and there's some unexpected tidbits. But I always take a point of view. We're all in this together. We have to figure out a way to come together and get our own way and listen. And when we do that, it's golden. So it's nice. A lot of fun.
Our final slide is how to reach you. We have your web address, I can't see that well, but I'll try, jryanpartners.com.
That is correct. You can find me there and shoot me a note and see what's going on. You can also find me on LinkedIn. And then the exciting part of the book is for the second go around, it has developed feet or wings, as the case may be. So it is available online in all the major booksellers across the country,
Nice.
from Amazon, of course, Target, Barnes and Nobles, Walmart, and then it's traveled overseas. So I'm going to corrupt English language everywhere with my writing. So in England, any English speaking publisher. And funny enough, English speaking books are very popular right now, no matter if you're in Asia or Europe, etc. And
Can you can you find
it's
out through
written to
Amazon?
connect people.
Can you find out through
Yes,
Amazon who's buying your book in what countries?
through Amazon, and then each of the individual booksellers. And this time,
Nice.
since I went through a publisher, he'll be able to also get me some data too.
That's nice.
That'd be fun.
By the way, we have your Instagram on the screen and your Twitter. The Twitter is easy, Julienne Ryan, and the Instagram is, I can't quite read it,
Julian R, I think it is. I'm terrible about memorizing, but it's in there, and you Google the book, it comes up. So there's there's a couple of Instagrams. One, it's more just me going around and doing creative things, and then one is the book.
Anyway, there's lots of ways to reach Julienne, and I want to say it's holiday time, and you know what I do is I go to a lot of holiday parties, and I always take a host gift, a bottle of wine or something. This year I'm taking books. Everybody's going to get a book if I go to your house, and so if you go to buy this book on Amazon, don't buy one copy, buy 5 copies, and hand them out as you go. And what that does is my whole circle will be reading the same book at the same time, and that'll be fun. And I think this book would really, really make a good gift for anybody.
It has been fun and it has been used for that. So it's been a good icebreaker, and I love it because there's a glossary in it. At the very least, you're going to learn how to speak with a Queen's accent. And it is memorable things you can use for all generations about how to get on our own way, how to create what I call a front stoop moment, which is what we're doing now. We're giving ourselves a chance to listen and connect and swap some stories. And the only thing we're not doing right here is we're not eating and sharing food or recipes, but we can still aspire to do that.
Maybe
So
next time
have some fun with that.
we'll have a food Zoom. We'll each be eating our lunch or something next time. So.
Yes, yes, for sure, for sure.
Well, I
So
think
what's your goal for holidays now for you? What would be the best thing you could come through the holidays with?
well, just spending as much time as I can with my kids who are coming from London and from New York, and hopefully create some memories. I'm going to set out and pre-plan to create some memories.
That is beautiful. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing your Instagram post and finding out more what you did. Well, I love the fact that you're leading your tribe in a beautiful way and
Thank
setting
you.
the example and inspiring them. So that is awesome.
Thank you. I think this is a good time for you to come on right before the holidays. I'm glad you came today.
Yes, yes, and I'm rooting for everybody. We're all learning. I think it's about we have an opportunity this year to connect I think the energy is improved. So let's make the best of it and visualize good intent with folks and be patient and just keep listening as well.
Keep listening. Great advice, the best advice. But get this book, and there's so many great tips in there on communicating. Thank you, Julienne, and we will talk to you again soon, I hope.
Yes, for sure. Happy New Year if I don't talk to you before that.
And we'll be back with more authors, so please don't go anywhere.